Tom, thank you so much for making time for us today to talk with you about your thoughts on climate and energy and protecting biodiversity and so forth for the Earthjustice newsletter.
Happy to. You guys are doing the Lord's work. So.
That's great. You're probably better known for what you've written and talked about on climate and energy, but you do talk about your trips to visit wild places, and I want to find out, why is protecting biodiversity important?
Well, we're in the middle of a period of mass extinction, equivalent to the era when the meteor, hit the Yucatan Peninsula and clouded up all the air and killed all the dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. Conservation International estimates, I think we're losing one new species roughly every 20 seconds. Whoa. So we lost one new species, since we began this interview.
Yes.
And that is because of unbridled development and a lot of, I think, lack of awareness. When I grew up in Minnesota, you could walk the same path, swim the same lake, ford the same stream, and you could do it now, or you could do it later. Mm-hmm. But later is officially over. And so what we do in this country, the legal cases that Earthjustice wins here, the examples we set really scale. So when Earthjustice wins a case here to preserve biodiversity, to preserve the Clean Air and Clean Water Act, you may think, well, it's great for our country, but it has a lot broader resonance.
Let me ask you about coal. A lot of our work is bringing cases against the EPA to force the strengthening of standards that will apply to all coal-burning power plants. And we've had great results recently, and we're seeing a slowdown in practically cessation of building new plants and the beginnings, finally, of retirements of old, dirty coal-burning power plants. You've written about the importance of these kinds of environmental standards as one of the pillars of American greatness. Can you talk about why is this one of the pillars of American greatness?
Well, standards are good in and of themselves for the health and safety that they preserve, but standards also are huge drivers of innovation. And time and again, whenever the EPA or the Department of Transportation has set standards for automobiles. Historically, the automobile industries, squeal. This is going to cost us this is the end of the industry. This could be the end of Western civilization. It could be the end of the Milky Way galaxy if you make us install catalytic converters on our cars. And lo and behold, every time we insist on it, not only does the industry install them, they install them at a price far below most often the projections, and they end up spawning a whole new set of technologies that become export products for that industry.
There's a similar standard-setting body of work that we do on compelling, strong energy efficiency standards for appliances and equipment, the furnace in your house, the air conditioner in the store. What's the importance of those kind of standards?
Well, it reminds me of something I wrote in my book, Hot, Flat, and Crowded, which is I had a whole chapter on that, and the chapter title was called, If It Isn't Boring, It Isn't Green. To do what you do, it's a little boring. You got to slog through a lot of case law. You got to learn the technology. And then you got to marry the two. And it's a long, hard fight. And no one's going to stop you at the airport. Trip. Can I get your audio? Can I get a picture with you? But in fact, Earthjustice, EDF, Conservation International, NRDC, these are great organizations. The people fighting these regulatory battles, these are the true heroes of green, in my view.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me ask you about natural gas. We have a boom going on in the United States, and you've written recently about your hope for a grand bargain, as you put it, between the oil and gas industry and the environmental community on how to produce gas in the United States. Will you describe what the elements of that kind of a bargain could be?
Well, yeah, I think that's still to be defined, and I count on people like yourself, like Earthjustice and Environmental Defense Fund, on one side to say, tell me, because I'm not a scientist, how fracking can be done in an environmentally safe and sustainable way. Because it seems to me there's two great advantages of this bounty. One is it allows us to continue that shift from coal to a bridge fuel that is half as polluting. And secondly, having all this domestic natural gas would be a huge advantage for American industry. That would be great for jobs, great for American competitiveness, great for the dollar. I'd like to be able to do this, but I'm not going to sacrifice the planet to do it. And once Earthjustice and the other environmental groups say, here's the standards, and then I will fight for those standards. Say, okay, to the industry, you meet these, they're not that expensive from what I'm told to meet, it's not going to cost that much. And we can really get this industry to take off, but on one more condition, that we understand there's got to be a bridge to somewhere. And so for me, it's always been, okay, here's the deal. We will give a green light to this industry under these standards, but we want something in return. You stop fighting efficiency standards. I want to make sure this is a bridge to somewhere, not just a bridge to a cleaner fuel from coal to natural gas, but a bridge to a cleaner economy. You know, we have to do this as a collective act.
Yeah.
You know, not them going out and doing it and then Earthjustice suing them.
Yeah.
Let's do this together, you know what I mean? And it seems to me it can be a win-win. I hope, but I don't know. I want to see the science.
Yeah. You've referred to a Green New Deal. Can you tell us what a Green New Deal is?
That we have not only these kind of grand bargains between the environmental community and industry broadly, but that we understand that through them we can actually propel innovation and entrepreneurship in this country. And that it's one of the ways we can lead. And by the way, it's one of the ways we can get our groove back with the world.
Well, your most recent book is a somewhat gloomy assessment of the trends that have led to what people are calling an American decline.
Right.
And yet, in the book itself, and here in this moment, you speak as an optimist. Where does the optimism come from?
My optimism, as I say, really comes from the fact that I truly believe not only is there a generation coming up that totally gets this, that looks at emitting carbon just like they look at smoking. I mean, that from their first day in elementary school, they've been told don't smoke cigarettes and don't emit carbon. And this country still has enormous, enormous innovative prowess. And you give Americans a problem, and they will find the solution, particularly if you use the government to incentivize doing that. And so I think we still have all the ability to lead, but I do believe in Dana Meadows, the late Dana Meadows' admonition. We have exactly enough time starting now.
Thank you, Tom.
Pleasure.
It's really great.
Thank you.